Hello, my name is Yanina Nava and I'm one of the closing assistants here at OFN, and today we'll be going over our process and procedure form that will be needed in our Texas as well as all of our out-of-state transactions. When you first submit a contract to us for submission, we will automatically send you our introductory email, which consists of the process and procedure form as well as information on where to find videos to help you fill out the process and procedure form. We get asked a lot, why is it that people have to fill out the process and procedure form when all of the documents that are being submitted has the information that we're requesting on this form? The reason being is that this is our process. This is what we use to go off of to prepare the documents and to work on your transaction. So just like how we encourage you not to piecemeal the documentation that's needed to process your loan, we also ask you not to piecemeal the process and procedure form. Sometimes we get forms that are submitted just either with the seller's information or just the buyer's information, and it doesn't have any of the information for the actual loan that we are working on for you. So please fill out the process and procedure form and turn it in completely filled out. On page 1 of the process and procedure form, we go over a few of the services that we provide here at Horne Associates as well as the Owner Finance Network. Now, if you see towards the bottom of the page, you'll see information of our fees. We always get asked what are estimated fees for a transaction. You can find the fees for a standard, wrap, and a standard sub-2 loan on the bottom of the page. Now, I say standard because there are times where some of these transactions will require a second lien or a third lien or additional documentation to be prepared. If that's the case, you can just contact us and we can give you an estimate for those services. On page 2 of our process and procedure form, we go over the submission fee. When you're submitting a contract, one of the first things that we're going to ask you is for the submission fee. This allows us to either order an abstract, a title run, or the title policy. Since we will be ordering the title run, title policy, or title insurance from a third-party provider, we do require the submission fee up front to be able to cover those fees. Now, though the submission fee will either be credited at closing or it will be reimbursed to the person who paid the submission fee up front. After that, you will see how to send in the submission fee. Now, you could either send in a wire, which we will provide wiring instructions for. You could drop off a money order or a cashier's check, or you can pay online. Please note that our online service does charge a 3% servicing fee, so when you're submitting online payments, keep that in mind. Right after that, you will see closing times. Now, this is very important because a lot of the times when we get a package, if we have a full complete package, we can close between 10 to 15 business days from the day that we receive a complete package. This is why we do encourage not to piecemeal any information. The more complete the package is, the smoother the transaction. Just please keep in mind that it is 10 to 15 business days from the day that we do receive a full complete package. We do occasionally rush files, and you can see here that we do have a rush fee. You will have to contact the office to see if we are accepting rushes at the time. On page 3 of our process and procedure form, you'll see the document checklist. These are all of the documents that we require to have a full complete package. If you are working with a transaction coordinator, they will be able to contact your seller and your buyer to gather the information that's needed. If you are not working with a transaction coordinator and would like some help, please note that we are now offering the transaction coordinating services through our sister company. More information on these services can be found somewhere around this video. On page 4, 5, 6, and 7, this is where we ask for personal information. We have the seller's information first and then the buyer's information. Now, this information is really important that you guys fill out because it gives us who the people, the parties in the transaction are. So it asks for all of the seller's information, their full legal name. Now, the reason why we ask for the full legal name is when we order title, we want to make sure that we have the correct person. Forwarding addresses are going to be really important because at the end of the transaction, we need a mailing address on where we can send executed documents to. Cell phone numbers and emails are also really important because if at any point we need to contact the seller to get any information, we would like to have the information on our process and procedure form. There is a portion on the seller's information sheet that asks for date of birth and social security numbers. Now, you see in bold letters that if the seller feels more comfortable calling in and giving us the information verbally as opposed to writing it on the document, we will accept it. We do require this information just to verify that when we do pull title, we can go ahead and take care of anything that comes up and we can verify if it's our sellers or not. On the bottom part of the seller's information form, this information does need to be filled out. A lot of the times we do see it blank, but we do need to know if the seller's married. We do need to know the spouse's name because there are some documents that they will need to sign at closing. We need to know how the seller is holding title and if it's in an LLC, a corporation, different entity, because we will need additional information if that is the case. So please, when you're filling out the seller's information and the buyer's information, you fill it out fully and completely. On page 5, you will see here that we're asking if there's any realtors or if there's any agents involved. If there are, we do ask that you provide us with the information and then also the commission. Now, we always ask the realtors or any agents involved for their CDA for closing, so we make sure that all of the fees are done correctly on the closing statement. But if you can get us the information ahead of time, we would greatly appreciate it. Now, page 6 is the buyer's information. Again, this is going to be important that we get the full legal name of the buyer, the address, cell phone numbers and email addresses, and then also if they're married and if they're buying the property together with their spouse, if they're buying it in an LLC, in a different entity. We need to know the names of the officers if they are buying it in an LLC and what their titles are. Once we find out if they're purchasing the property in an LLC, that's when we'll require LLC documents so we can see how to properly prepare the documents for closing. Now, again, we do ask if there's any agent information, that we do have it filled out completely on the bottom part of the buyer's information sheet. Okay, on page 7, we have the loan information sheet, which gives us the type of transaction that we'll be helping you with. If you go 1 through 3 and you check off the type of transaction that you will be working on, it'll tell you which page to go to. For example, if you are doing a sub-2 transaction or if you are doing a wrap mortgage, then you will fill out page 8, which gives us the information of the underlying lien loan. Now, this is really important because it gives us the details of the underlying lien loan that is being wrapped, and it allows us to go ahead and get the information that we need to send out our pre-closing disclosures. So we do ask that you fill out this information to the best of your knowledge. Now, some of the information or some of the documents that we do request on page 3 are supporting documents to the information that you will be providing to us on page 8 and page 9. So if you are doing an owner finance with no underlying lien, then that's when you would go to page 9. And this is where you would give us your terms of your loan that you are now giving to your new buyers. Again, this information allows us to prepare our pre-closing disclosures, and it gives us the information that we need ahead of time. What we've been seeing a lot of lately is investors coming to closing with a private money lender. Now, that means that they're purchasing a property sub-2, but instead of them themselves coming in with the down payment, they are getting a private money loan to be able to pay the cash to close. Now, if that is the case and you know that you are getting a private money lender at closing, we do ask that you fill out page 10 and 11. This allows us to have the information ahead of time of the loan that we will be preparing. Now, a lot of the times, the private money loans that our investors are getting are going to be second or third liens, and we do need the information ahead of time. The last thing that we want is for you to be, docs are out, ready to go, and you tell us last minute that there's going to be a private money loan and we need to prepare a note and deed of trust, because all that's going to do is hold up your closing date. On page 12, we have some additional information that we'll need to be able to process and prepare documents for your wrap and sub-2 transactions, like when the first payment is going to be due on the new note, if there's going to be any escrows or any reserves collected. Now, one of the things that I do want to bring your attention to is where it says what type of title work is being requested. Now, it says title search, abstract, or title insurance. The reason why this is important is because this will determine the time frame of your loan. Now, if it is an FHA or VA loan, title insurance cannot be issued. So title search or abstract of title will be your choices. Now, if you do want a title policy, let's say the sub-2 transaction that you are purchasing is a conventional loan and you do want title insurance, we will need to know ahead of time. So when we order title, we order it correctly. Letting us know what type of title work ahead of time is really important and could really help your file go through a lot smoother. Now, the last part of page 12 are any third-party fees that need to be collected. We are seeing a lot of our transactions being closed remotely, and a mobile notary may be needed. If you know that you are going to be closing remotely and you may hire a mobile notary, please let us know, even if the fees are estimated, and once you get an invoice, we can put the correct amount on the closing statement. But if you let us know the fees ahead of time, we can include them, so then that way we can give you a better estimate of the cash to close. Now, if there are any assignment fees, if there are any broker fees, any processing fees, lender's fees, we do ask that you please fill this portion of the document out. Lastly, on page 13, we go over our closing and funding portion of the process and procedure form, which just gives you the contact information for closing. Now, again, it does reference that if there is a mobile notary that's needed and you do have their contact information, you could fill it out ahead of time so we know who to send the closing documents to for the closing. We hope that this video serves as a guide to help you properly fill out our process and procedure form. And if you are in Texas, we look forward to closing your next transaction here at Horne Associates. And if you're located in any other state, we look forward to helping you close with OFN National Escrow Services.